what the topic is.
Here we go. Yep. And just like that with Tiffanie Robinson, we are live. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going to my page to make sure that I'm not lying to everybody that we are live because the internet is a funny thing. Yes, we are live.
It's
I know you've got a call coming up here in just a few minutes, but we were actually having a really good conversation before we fired this bad boy up. Business. Let's do this first. Tell everybody the business that you own and run, and then let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I have two businesses. One is Lamppost Properties. It's real estate development. We focus on commercial development, and our main priority has been the downtown footprint of Chattanooga. And then the second is Second Story Real Estate Management. It's more of our forward-facing company, and we are commercial property management and commercial brokerage. So any type of commercial asset management, we do it.
And business has been good.
It has. And, and I was telling you earlier, like, oh, I feel bad even saying that because business has been really good and, we're staying stable. And, who knows what the rest of the year holds, but, we certainly are blessed and we've been in a good place. But, like I was telling you earlier before we started live, just, who knows what the rest of the year is going to look like. And so we're just trying to be smart with, everything we're doing. And, all of our team members are working really hard. We're just focusing in on, our clients and just taking every day by day right now.
When you don't, one thing that I've learned watching people, because I've had conversations with people in the auto industry, the home sales, you guys, you gals. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I'm old.
We are a mostly female company. So
give me some grace and mercy. I'm learning. No, but business has been good for some industries, and there's other industries, small business ownership, that have struggled. And you just have to be careful, I think, when we navigate this, because the differences, the experiences we've had going through this is so varied. There are people who've gotten depressed. There are people who can't get out. There's people who've never missed a day of work and have made money. People who are losing their businesses. And I just don't remember a time where it's been this crazy. And the fact that there are industries, though, that have come through this and done well, that's okay. That's okay. This isn't Fox or CNN. You're good.
Sorry.
Yeah. But the fact that we've come through this and there's some industries that have done pretty good and remain strong, I think is a good indicator.
Yeah, I think it is too. And, like what we were talking about earlier, hopefully hopefully the unemployment numbers are going to go down and continue to go down, and we're going to get back to some sense of normal, whatever that looks like, because I don't think that it will ever be like what it was March 13th, which is the last day that I had a normal quote unquote life. And I was actually flying back in from London that day. So who knows when I'll go back to London. I think it's just all still to be determined.
Well, some of the stuff I was going to ask you about, because I know you're on a time crunch and you're an important person. People are throwing messages at you right now.
It's actually the Jimmy John driver calling. So he sent me a text.
Do you need to go out and pay?
Nope. He just needed the code for the door to get in, but he's got it now. So hopefully he'll
That's really the most important thing, is you getting some food in you before your 1 o'clock.
It is. Absolutely.
No, but the things that we've learned through this, and we'll kind of move past some of the stuff that I wanted to bring up because of time, and that's okay. We'll do this again next couple of weeks. But I asked you this 3 or 4 weeks ago when we talked. Are there things that you have learned through this that you are implementing in your business model moving forward that you have found has helped you?
Yeah. I'm guessing this question was in that text that you sent me earlier.
Yeah, there was some other stuff. Yeah.
It would have been good to think on this question.
Well, I mean, like the way we communicate or the online component.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So, we definitely had to turbo speed, figure out how to do things more efficiently as a team. And so that's been a huge blessing for our company. We had to figure out how to very quickly, basically go remote, which, by the way, real estate, it's not remote. You can't do real estate remotely. You can, but you can't. You still have to figure out how to get on site and be on site, or at least figure out how to have some type of substitute. So, we had to figure that out quickly. We also had to figure out in general how to communicate and function as a team remotely. And that has gone really, really well. That was probably the biggest stressor though for me for the first 4 weeks of this. It was exhausting. I felt like I was in front of my computer for 13 hours a day, having phone calls over, communicating when I was on a call because it was so important that my point got across, because so used to doing it in person. I feel like that's really calmed down. But then, I mean, we had to come back to our office. Like, you can't long term in this business be remote. It's not
Right.
possible. So, we're back in our office, and we have been here probably for like 5 or 6 weeks now. And, so we really had to start thinking through before we came back, like, all right, well, what are our clients? What are the building owners that expect us to manage their asset the right way? What are they going to expect out of what it looks like now to enter their building? So we had to start thinking about things that we don't normally think about, which is like, what does clean look like, and what does clean feel like, and like mentally look like? What does it smell like?
When you can't take it for granted anymore, you have to. Hey, is that on the calendar? Yeah. Did it get done? Then yes.
Yeah, no
You,
doubt.
the
Then,
other. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to make one more comment that,
Yeah.
from the asset management side, on the for Lamppost Properties, we own, a handful of properties downtown, or well, almost 10 properties downtown. And, our relationship with our banker has never been more important. And I think that I never realized how important that relationship is for a business. And so really our banking relationships have been really important through this whole process for Lamppost Properties and Second Story. So
You almost have to hold hands and move a little slower. Each step is intentional. Everybody has to be on board. And when you're talking with your banker, they're probably more involved with that at this point, I would think. The other thing I think will help businesses is that a lot of business owners, especially technology-minded business owners, which can be younger a little bit, stereotypes,
yeah,
but they're used to jumping on video calls and this technology. I think a lot of us now will be much more comfortable jumping on a video call and having faith and confidence in it. There's a lot of us old birds that are now like, yeah, I can jump on a call in a heartbeat, or a video call in a heartbeat.
yeah, it's easier now. I think
Yeah.
what I worry about when it comes, because I've heard a lot of people make that comment that like, oh, video calls are going to replace face-to-face meetings. I worry about what happens for people that are in like sales positions, or even lawyers and accountants who they have to have like a lot of trust in the relationship. And video, to me, like, will never be able to replace the trust that's built from a face-to-face discussion. Like, as an example, so we have basically a finance arm that builds buildings, and it's a fund of money. Well, the only way that I can really go continue raising money to do those projects is by having meetings with people that trust me or build trust with me. And I just am not convinced that video calls can do that. But I do think that like video is a great substitute for having a one-on-one personnel meeting, or a team meeting whenever it's needed, or especially if now we have to be really mindful of when people are sick. And now it's like, well, don't jeopardize coming into the office because you're not feeling well. Instead, just go home and do all of your meetings remotely with us. So I think there's two sides of it.
I agree 100%. And we'll change direction here after this one. But I think it's a great fill-in for those emails or text messages, because I'm with you. You cannot replace body language and that chemistry you have one-on-one. But there are a number of times that I've got a text or an email and I go, this would be so much better with a phone call or video.
Yeah.
And you jump in there, it's just too much typing. And I'm like, hey, let's just jump on a video
call
and
you.
talk. Yeah. And I think that it'll help with that kind of stuff. All right, let's talk school board a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So the message I sent you was like, I don't know what's on the horizon for the Hamilton County Department of Education or the school board. I know there's some votes coming up. I think we've got some elections coming up, but the back to school, how's that going to look? Are y'all having conversations? Bring us up to speed on some of the stuff that you think are top priorities in front of the board right now.
Oh gosh. Well, man, it feels like we never get a break, or at least I haven't had a break in 4 years. So your first question about elections. So yes, this is an election year and the board is staggered. So there are always 4 of us that are up for election in 1 year. And then you fast forward 2 years later and there's another 5 that are up for elections. So there's 9 people on the board. So every 2 years you have a different school board election, but they're 4-year terms. So,
right.
So actually this is my election year, but I'm actually running unopposed. So I'm really grateful and excited that I don't have to, get out there and, duke it out with someone. I also think that it's the highest compliment I could ever receive, that the people in my district really believe that I'm the right fit and that they're really happy with the work I'm doing. So we have elections coming up, District 1, 2, and 7. So if you live in those districts, please make sure you turn out to vote in July and August. Early voting starts, I think, in mid-July. But right now, we are faced with a lot of hard decisions. So, first of all, our reopening plan for the schools is being flushed out right now. So, we don't have a lot of answers at the moment, but there is a task force put together of a number of community members like medical doctors, teachers, principals, parents. I'm actually on the committee. So, a number of people that are basically thinking through what does it look like to reopen our schools? How will students come back? But then what happens if there's an outbreak? And then what happens if we have to close schools again? And then what happens if, X, Y, or Z? So there's going to be a 4-phase plan. But the plan right now is that we are going back to school August 12th in some way, shape, or form.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, like it is of the desire of the district to see kids go back to school August 12th physically. But I do think that it's pretty. We absolutely believe that it is important that we say to parents, if you don't feel comfortable sending your child back to school on August 12th, then you need to have the option to have a virtual tool, and your child deserves the same education that they would have received if they were in school. And so that's definitely a high priority for me to make sure that like every child is still given equal opportunity and every parent knows how to make that happen and how to make a success. So we'll have a real plan rolled out at the end of June, and that's going to answer a lot of our questions. But it's a hard decision to be making right now because, I am definitely in the camp of I want my children to go back to school because they really need that. I need it. But then on the other hand, I mean, we have so many things to be worried about. And I have friends that have COVID and they've said, Tiffanie, how could you possibly allow my children to go back to school? And, and I don't have a good answer at the moment. So I'm doing a lot of learning right now too.
Well, I think that's the key. First of all, there's so much, I don't want to say misinformation. It's just air quote experts that have different takes on stuff from every level, state, city, federal. There's this thing of who do we trust and who do we put the answers, the hands, who do we take those answers from? The second thing is sometimes it's not the decision between good and bad. It's just the decision between not great and better. Still both not great.
And I feel like in life right now, we have so many of those decisions to be made.
But I also think the question I asked you about business is I think when we get past this, I think the education system will take some tools from this that will make them better at their job moving forward.
Absolutely. So in my opinion, there's never going to be a snow day again. Like there's never going to be a bad weather day again because now
you are speaking sacrilege, young lady. From a kid that loves snow days, you stop it right now.
I know. I loved hurricane days in Florida because the hurricane never came. It was always beautiful and sunny, and we just went to the beach instead. So I know, but I mean, the reality is like there's not really a reason why we should have a snow day again or a weather day again, or maybe our holidays look different now too, in the sense of like UTC has decided that they're going to no longer have, or well, at least not for the next year, have a fall break and a Labor Day. They're going to just be out all of December. Maybe that's what Hamilton County does, and maybe that's actually what the new future looks like. I'm not opposed to year-round schooling. I've never been opposed to it.
I was going to ask about that. Shorter days, online.
I've never been opposed to it. Our school schedule was built based on farming schedules, and, well, I'm pretty sure most of us don't even know how to grow a garden anymore. So, so year-round schooling can make sense. And, really whenever you condense the Labor Day and the fall break, that starts to make it look a little bit more like a year-round school schedule. But backsliding is always a reason to think about year-round schooling too. So I think that COVID's going to make us really think through a lot of things differently, but it has already made us have to think through how do we educate kids virtually? I mean, now we're looking at like how do we help families have access to the internet that didn't have it. I mean, we just learned a lot over the last few months. We have to make sure that what we learned is used well, and we don't make we aren't in a situation where kids don't have what they need because we didn't have enough time to prepare. We now have time to prepare, basically.
Well, and also the backside of this coin, the other side of it is when you send kids home by the masses, a lot of those kids depend on the food they were getting at school. They depend on some of that was how they learned to interact with other kids. There's a vacuum there of stuff that I think we have to figure out how to fix that part of it if we're going to go down that road.
And so that's where I think that like one-on-one interaction inside our schools can never be replaced. I mean, if virtual is the future forever, we've got another thing coming. That's why I say I want my kids to go back to school, because my kids need that interaction. I want my kids to be around diverse people and being around like different environments and people that have different perspectives. They don't need to be inside of our, little 5-person family or little homogenous neighborhood. But, that could possibly be a different conversation. But as far as like feeding kids, we have fed kids every day since we got out, and we are continuing that program through the summer too. So I'm really proud of that.
But there's a lot of organizations that have jumped in there too. I know the YMCA does a lot. Local churches have stepped up. So I know I know the school's doing a lot, but they've had some support of the people that live next door to you and me and everybody else.
Yeah.
Too.
That's right. And I guess I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget to mention like the teachers and all of this too. Like we always, our minds go first to the kids, which is really important. But the teachers, in a lot of ways could be at risk too, and in whatever plan we decide moving forward. So we have to take kids and adults into consideration, all of this. And so that's what makes it really, really tricky. But, on the flip side too, our economy locally depends on how we move forward with our schools. Parents have to go to work.
Oh yeah.
And, not everyone can stay home and homeschool their child, even if, HCD is providing the resources, which they will. But, I'm not a good teacher. I'm not the best candidate for that, but I'm also in a different position too. And a lot of the families that I represent in District 4, they're not in the position that I'm in. If I needed to find someone to help out to be at my house, I could, but most of the families in my district can't. So I certainly come to the table thinking about those families first. And,
well, too, also kids don't want to be around parents all the time. Kids want to go back. We never thought we'd hear it, but kids want to be around their friends and other kids. They don't want to be around dad and mom all the time, or brothers and sisters all the time. They're ready to get out of there too. And again, the thing that I want to say, I think a lot of students learned quickly how to learn online, but to support your fact or what your comment was, teachers, I think for the most part, did a fantastic job learning to pivot and continue teaching kids.
Yes.
They had to learn a whole, especially if you've been teaching 15, 20 years a certain way, and all of a sudden your arm gets broken, it has to heal quickly, and you have to make sure it heals right. They had to learn new stuff. Right. And just like everybody, listen, there's good and bad in every place, but when the teachers were asked to pivot and learn how to teach, they did it.
Right.
And that was a great thing.
And so really education should have already been doing these things for the last 15 years, and they had to catch up 15 years of like innovation all within like 4 months. And there's definitely still work that needs to be done, but I think that it really forced us to have to jump ahead, which is great in my opinion.
Let's do this, because you only got about another 2 or 3 minutes and you're going to eat a sandwich. Let's say hi to, let's do this. Hold on a second. Let me do that. Let's hide that.
Some
I was going to throw them up on the screen. Look at this. Weston Wamp, we could use about 5 Tiffanie Robinsons in local government. So I think I think that's a call out. I could see you running down the road. You wouldn't say no to that down the road. You don't know, right?
What?
If you might run for a different office down the road.
Yeah, I want to be useful to my community wherever I can best be used, and I'm definitely passionate about that. That's for sure.
Craig Miller, my wife's tutoring business has increased dramatically. Yes, because us parents don't know what we're doing sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah. Me math, not my strength. Yeah.
Craig also said virtual schooling is the future. In some form or fashion.
Craig, I hope that if it is, if it is, Craig, that we still figure out how to make sure kids are seeing each other face to face. I do think human interaction is important, but it's probably right in a lot of ways. There's Monty. Hey, Monty. Hey, how are you? So let's keep the conversation going. Absolutely. I wouldn't mind we did this a couple of weeks ago, Tiffanie, and a lot happens. We were learning this too. I don't know why we have to learn it. It's been this way for 10 years. The news cycle, headline cycle is about 5 minutes now. We have new headlines every day we wake up. Right. So I think maybe if you're okay with it, maybe once a week or at least every 10 days, let's have a quick talk. Yeah, I'd love to. Yep. So let's get on the calendar for next week. So, I have to go because I have a meeting, but I also need to eat my sandwich. So I know you do. Tiffanie, thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Bye, everybody. Y'all have a great day. Bye.